Greetings once again, Z Warriors. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with Dragon Ball Super. And this is it, the explosive climax, where last time, Cell Max is in full rage mode. Gamma 2 down, overexerting himself just to manage to take off one of the beast's hands. Orange Piccolo, assuming his great Namekian form, which, while it doesn't increase his power, makes it at least somewhat easier to grapple with the gigantic creature. Gotenks, Krillin, 18, and Gamma 1 all doing their best to distract and pepper the beast, while Gohan charges his final attack. However, when Piccolo tries to hold the creature down, he's beaten mercilessly. This once again awakens something primal deep within Gohan, something we've always known is there, as his emotions have always been the key to greater and greater power. I will say that while some people feel that it's a bit of an asshole, which is understandable, Gohan from the onset, even at a younger age, was able to increase his power exponentially through emotion, even without training. In fact, it always seems that whenever Gohan actually trains, that's not the way he gets the greatest gain. If anything, it helps him get to the precipice of great power, but never achieve it. It's always through his rage and emotions that he gets to that point. And it's through a similar means of seeing his mentor in danger that Gohan Beast is created. And regardless of what you feel about the hair, which, I mean, I'll be honest, it makes me think of Super Saiyan 3. Just pointed up instead of flowing back. And while Gohan Beast proves to be stupidly powerful, Gohan still needs to land that critical blow. Piccolo tries to hold the beast down, and when it tries to fly off, 18, Krillin, and Gamma 1, as well as a little help from Gotenks in certain ways, manage to keep the beast in place, ready for the one attack that'll take it down. Will we finally reach the climax of all of this? Join me as I find out, won't you? As Gohan Beast raises his hand, gathering his ki into two fingers, he calls out, "Light of Death, Makon Kosapo, Special Beam Cannon!" He points it forward and fires. Ooh, that is a great colored cover page. We see Gotenks buried, Krillin, 18, and Gamma 1 look on with trepidation. Orange Piccolo holds Cell Max back from unleashing his death ball attack as a massive and very colorful beam of energy heads straight towards the beast. As it gets closer and Cell Max struggles in Piccolo's grasp, he manages to launch the death ball, which I can't actually remember if did that happen in the movie? I can't remember. But he fires the death ball. The two attacks collide. The blasts struggle against each other. Krillin and 18 shield their eyes from the intense light of the strike. Gohan and Cell Max struggle against each other's power. It actually seems like their attacks are evenly matched, neither one managing to gain an inch. Gamma 1 calls out, "Push!" And as Gohan continues to struggle, two entities come swooping in, Cell Max taken off guard. Oh, nice. As we see Trunks and Goten come in, knocking Cell Max's hand to the side. Krillin calls out, "The boys, their fusion wore off." Seeing his opportunity, Gohan unleashes even more of his power. Pouring it in, the attack pierces through Cell Max's ball of destruction. Cell Max in shock as he sees the beam approaching him. He tries to move away, but Piccolo holds his head straight in place, right in the path of the attack. The attack makes contact, drilling through the creature's head, blasting through the other side, as Piccolo rightfully moves his head promptly out of the way, like, "Oh, don't want none of that." Oh, that's such a good shot, though. I'm glad that Trunks and Goten actually got to contribute a little bit towards the end there, especially considering how Gotenks was played for laughs. Kinda wish that was in the movie, but it is what it is. And as the beam fades out, we see it just coming off of the planet's surface. Cell Max, with a massive hole in his crown, is left gasping. Piccolo releases him, sending the beast plummeting towards the ground. Gohan, still in the pose of his attack, winding down from releasing all that energy. And Piccolo shoots his protege a smile, who smiles back, huffing and puffing. Krillin and 18 smile, with Krillin shouting, They did it! It's over!" But he then notices Gamma 1 flying by, who shouts to the other others, "He's gonna blow! Get moving!" As we see, much like in the previous Cell games, Cell Max's body start to swell and bloat at the stomach, as if it was about to burst. Trunks and Goten look on in shock, with Trunks shouting, "Well, crap." Piccolo then grabs the two by their cape, as he, Gohan, 18, and Krillin all fly away from the blast radius, as energy starts to burst from the creature's stomach, and the massive crater is filled with a gigantic stream of light that emanates out, blinding everyone in the area. We then see the smoking crater that used to be the Red Ribbon base, as Bulma and her ship flies overhead with Pan. They both look down, with Bulma saying, "Good thing we didn't stick around." Pan looks on saying, "The big monster's gone. I hope everyone's okay." We then see Krillin face down in the dirt, with 18 looking on as she grabs him by the ankle and pulls him out like a vegetable. Ah, Krillin, for every moment of dignity, there's a moment of indignity. Pan sees this and laughs, as Bulma says, "I take it they're just fine." We then see Gamma 1 having shielded the body of Gamma 2 and Dr. Hedo, and as Dr. Hedo and 1 get up, they look upon the lifeless body of Gamma 2. Meanwhile, Bulma's ship lands, and Pan comes running out, looking around for everyone. In the smoke, Pan sees two figures, one normal size and one gigantic, that begins to shrink. As she rushes towards them, she sees Gohan, Beast, and Orange Piccolo, who look towards her, and she recoils just in terror, which even in the movie I didn't blame her. It's just like, whoa, what the heck? Piccolo and Gohan realize that they're still in these altered forms, and they both power down, smiling to greet Pan, with Gohan with outstretched arms. Pan is delighted and rushes into her dad's arms. Piccolo watches and smiles. He then hears Dr. Hedo calling out to Gamma 2. As Gohan and Pan hug, Piccolo looks towards the sad scene. Dr. Hedo lets out a defeated "darn" as he and Gamma 1 look to the body of their comrade. Though Gamma 1 does turn to Piccolo and give a nod, and Piccolo nods back. Gohan gets a bit serious too and lets down Pan, as Piccolo says, "We never could have beaten the Beast without their help." Gohan then says, "Heck, I wonder if even Dad or Vegeta could have taken down that monstrous version of Cell." Piccolo then angrily turns to him saying, "This is why I said you can't afford to get rusty, even during seemingly peaceful time." I mean, despite the engineered disaster that, could have always wished away with the Dragon Balls, he has a point. You never know when a disaster that you're unprepared for is gonna come through, especially with everything we've seen in the Super series. Like, you thought Super Saiyan 3 was the pinnacle of power. Baby, no. It's funny too, because even though Boo was outmatched on multiple occasions, he always found a way around the likes of Super Saiyan 3, Ultimate Gohan, characters that outclassed him. There was always some kind of circumstance. Oh, Pan goes over and high-fives Trunks and Goten. Gohan apologizes, sheepishly saying, right, sorry. Piccolo then says, "And what, may I ask, was that final attack?" Gohan then sheepishly replies, "It was supposed to be a light of death. Special beam cannon. Makanko Savo." Piccolo says, "You call that a light of death?" Gohan says, a poor imitation, I guess." Piccolo then turns away and simply says, "It was brilliant," which overjoys Gohan. Meanwhile, with Dr. Hedo, Gamma 1 and 2, Gamma 2's body begins to disintegrate, with Hedo clutching Gamma 2's hand into the end as he fades away, leaving nothing behind more than a cape. Piccolo approaches them and questions, "So he's gone?" Gamma 1 simply says, "Yes, despite your best efforts to save him." Piccolo questions, what exactly did he do back there? As Gamma 1 cradles Gamma 2's cape, he says, "That was all of his energy, unleashed in one massive burst." Piccolo tells him, well, it paid off. That weakened the monster. He then looks towards the sky and says he really was a superhero. Gamma 1 turns to the group and says, "You lot too." As Hedo says, "Thank you for your efforts. Thank you. Your efforts have saved the world." So we get a nice group shot of everyone. Hedo then lowers his head, saying, "It's all my fault. I created Cell Max, and Gamma 2 paid the price for my folly." Krillin then tells him, they exploited you too. You didn't seem like a total villain before joining up with the Red Ribbon Army." But Hedo closes his eyes, saying, "No, I should have known better. I did know better, but the allure of research funds was too great. 18 then chimes in saying, you've given androids a bad name, pal. Kick a guy when he's down. Although, considering the lineage, I'm not surprised 18's not too plussed about the dude. Bulma then chimes in saying, honestly, it's a wonder that you survived all this. Hedo explains, right, you see, I've modified my skin, making it resilient against impact. Bulma recoils, saying, your actual skin? Yeesh, makes my own skin crawl. Trunks then whispers, like you didn't have your crow's feet removed. Bulma turns to him saying, you say something to say, Trunks? And Trunks immediately just dives out of the way behind Goten. Bulma then says, oh, and Goten, don't tell your mom about all this. She'll tear me apart if she finds out I dragged you into a big battle. Goten salutes, saying, yes, ma'am. Bulma then turns back to the doctor, saying, so, Dr. Hedo, right? What's your next move? Hedo stands up, saying, I'll turn myself and Gamma 1 into the authorities. This takes Krillin off guard, who says, I know the whole point of this investigation was to arrest you, but I'm having second thoughts at this point. I kinda like that there's a different explanation aside from, yeah, the prison doesn't want you back. As funny as that was, though. Piccolo then questions, why don't we call it water under the bridge? You're not exactly do-gooders, but you're not evildoers either. Gamma 1 and Hedo are stunned speechless, though Krillin does nod to this, and I just love 18 still eyeing them in the background. Hedo then asks, in that case, would Capsule Corporation be willing to hire Gamma and me? Oh, see, it was Bulma who mentioned that when she heard about the skincare. I kinda actually like Hedo having the initiative. This takes 18, Krillin, and Bulma off guard, as 18 angrily yells, are you for real? Hardy friggin' are. You're in no place to be asking favors. As Krillin has to hold her back. See, I like 18 being a little bit more outspoken about all that, because she just kinda is a non-entity aside from certain situations in the movie. Here at least she has, thoughts and opinions of her own. Bulma muses it over for a moment and then says, do you know anything about beauty treatment? Hedo questions, beauty, ma'am? Bulma then motions him over while 18 is angrily shouting at Krillin about the situation. Bulma then whispers over to Hedo saying, like, making skin look young. Hedo mentions, naturally I'm well versed in biology, and I do have a license to practice medicine, so that much would be easy. Bulma says, sure, still. Your talents are of real interest to my company and to me personally. She then glances over at Gamma 1 saying, plus, you come with one heck of a bodyguard, which takes Gamma 1 a little off guard. Bulma then leans in saying, and I can't have you out there concocting another dastardly plot. I actually love the idea of Bulma just constantly taking in the lesser villains like the P-Love gang and Hedo. It's kinda fun. Hedo says, no, of course not. I've given that up. Bulma then asks, any thoughts, Piccolo? Piccolo says, I'm not opposed. Better to use him than the Dragon Balls for your whims, Bulma. Bulma angrily says, that's not enough out of you. And Piccolo just smiles. Bulma then says, then it's settled. You're hired. Hedo excitedly smiles and says, thank you, and bows. And then Hedo motions to Gamma 1 saying, hey, be grateful, you. And he bows too, saying, thank you. With Bulma being taken off guard. Pan then pokes at Piccolo. And as he turns, she smiles and says, smiles with hee-hee. Piccolo then questions, huh? Pan gets in a stance with everybody looking at her, then takes in a deep breath and begins to float. Much to everyone's excitement and shock, Piccolo goes, oh, and Gohan smiles, and Pan then laughs as she flies about saying, check me out. She flies around, Hedo and Gamma 1 smiling at the sight. Krillin waves, and even 18 smiles, and so does Bulma. Goten gives a wave, and Pan flies around Trunk. Piccolo then calls out, we'll have to move on to the next phase of your training tomorrow. And Pan calls out, okay, as she continues to twirl in the air. Gohan calls out, whoa there, don't fly quite so high, honey. That's cute. Honestly, I still love the animation of her flying in the movie, though. Like, the moment where she's just flying between everyone, and Pan drops down saying, okay, daddy. Oh, okay. We then see Carmine and soldier number 15, as well as several other soldiers, making their way out of the base. Number 5 says, you hang in there. You hanging in there, Carmine, sir? Carmine adjusts his glasses, say, yes. They all look back, and Carmine says, damn it all. The commander's dead. Our base lies in ruin. Number 5 questions, what's the plan now, sir? Carmine tells him, First things first, we return to Red Pharmaceuticals HQ. Ooh, okay. So as per usual, it's not the end of the Red Ribbon Army. And let's just say, we didn't know Commander Red had a son. You never know if if Magenta had a child as well. It's always a chance. But what would that be? Red, Magenta, would be like Crimson or something? Meanwhile, back at Beerus's planet, we see the aftermath of a fierce battle as we cut to Goku and Vegeta, both gasping desperately. Vegeta manages to deliver a right hook to Goku's jaw, and he barely manages to maintain his footing. Goku struggles, and he delivers a mighty blow to Vegeta's midsection. Vegeta almost stumbles, but manages to prop himself up. Goku questions, "How are you still on your feet?" Vegeta says likewise, "Drop to the ground already." They both then raise their fists, Goku calling out, "One last clash." And Vegeta finishes saying, "To decide it all." They slowly move forward, and as they go in for the strike, Goku misses, and Vegeta manages to just barely tap Goku on the chest. And Goku, he loses his balance and he falls over. And as Goku finds himself on the ground, he calls out, "I had lost." We then see that Whis and Sheila were playing cards. It looked like they were playing Old Maid. Whis turns saying, "Is that so?" He puts his cards away, and while Sheila backs away, we see Beerus is dead asleep, and Whis calls out, "I declare Vegeta the winner." Vegeta smiles and says, "I've done it! At long last! I've bested Kakarot!" he says as he raises his fist triumphantly in the air. He then falls back onto the ground laughing as Goku just lets out a breath. Chilai then sits in a nearby chair, annoyed, saying, "They're finally done? Great. What a couple of numbskulls. Don't you agree, Broly?" Although she's taken off guard as she sees Broly and Lemo crying manly tears from the display of power. He then sits back, annoyed, saying, "That's men for you. Ridiculous." The Whis' staff continues to glow, and as Whis gets up, he says, "I suppose I should repair the ravaged landscape." Oop, now where did I leave that thing? He goes behind the nearby tree to find his staff, but when he sees it blinking, he questions the sight. We cut to the Capsule Corp ship. Okay, so now we're actually officially, as of this point, past the movie. And on Bulma's ship, we see her piloting, Gohan cradling Pan, Piccolo just sitting in the corner, Krillin pretty much fast asleep next to 18, Goten and Trunks sprawled out on the floor asleep, while Gamma 1 and Hedo sit off in the other corner. As Gohan cradles his daughter, he says, "I hadn't realized Pan's been growing so much. Maybe I shouldn't keep my nose to the grindstone quite so much." And Piccolo angrily says, "You don't say." See, I'm actually glad to hear that. Nice little bit of follow-up to the Gohan just choosing research over his daughter, all because Piccolo will pick her up. Yeah, but still. Gohan then says, "Yeah, I should take Pan out and about, like to the amusement park." Meanwhile, Bulma then notices her communication device for Whis blinking, and as she accesses it, Whis questions, "Did you need something, Bulma?" Bulma, who now has Krillin piloting the ship, says on the device, "You took your sweet time, Whis." Whis says, "Indeed. Apologies for the delay. Were you reaching out about some delicacy by chance?" Bulma says, "Sure, let's go with that. But the food's gone cold, so you'll have to wait until next time. Bye-bye." She said, cuts communication, with Whis questioning, my, what could that have been about? Actually, kind of fun way of ending things. I actually kind of prefer that a little bit, because it's a nice little follow-up to everything. I kind of see that as a little bit of a post-credit scene. You know, the Goku and Vegeta thing, mid-credit scene, and the Whis thing as post-credit. It's not the biggest thing, but it's a fun little added aside. But we're officially done. Although, I like that they made sure to let you know, hey, the Red Ribbon Army is still out there in some capacity, which, they always are. Honestly speaking, as a whole, there are a lot of elements I enjoyed about this a little bit more than the movie. Just because I'm glad that Goten and Trunks actually got to contribute a little bit more. 18 had a little bit more dialogue. It's all things that I noticed in the movie and was just like, I kind of wish they had done a little bit more with some of the other characters, and they actually kind of do that here. Krillin's investigation, Goten and Trunks's being the basis for Gamma's 1 and 2. Even 18 having a little bit more scruples about Dr. Hedo joining Capsule Corp. The illusion that, of course, this isn't the end of the Red Ribbon Army, which, of course, if you've seen Dragon Ball Online, it's far from the end of the Red Ribbon Army. I don't know if it's just the relief of finally being done with the adaptation, or the fact that the adaptation had a lot of stuff that I actually, wanted. I wanted to see in the movie. And I don't know, the final clash was a little bit more exciting, just because there was at least some struggle. In the movie, I'm pretty sure Gohan, when he let out the attack, it just hit Cell Map. I don't know if the two attacks clashed at all, but I know that it was no needed assistance. But I like that Goten and Trunks came in and helped out. I like that it was a group effort. Even when Gohan had the ultimate power again, there was just a little bit more of a tinge of excitement. And honestly, the colored pages in the beginning were also really beautiful. So while I join in the opinion that the adaptation didn't need to happen, and if anything, maybe just having the event seen from the perspective of Goten and Trunks would have been fine. Just going through the added parts would have been a bit of a boon. I feel like that would have been a more creative way of going about things. I don't hate it. And to say that just because, there's already the movie, why do you need to have this exist? Is like, in most cases, you have the manga. What is the purpose of having an anime exist? Almost unnecessary adaptations happen all the time, especially for Japan. And adaptations of games that sometimes add a little bit more, sometimes not so much. I've seen the contents of Persona 5 in so many different ways that I'm just like, whatever. But I don't know, something about when you're a fan, you're willing to just check that stuff out, because sometimes they do something a little bit different that makes you go, or just look at things in another perspective. Doesn't always live up to any kind of expectation. But at the same time, I never quite look down on a lot of that stuff. And sometimes stuff like this is a gateway to people going out and checking out the other material too. It's all for the money, baby. So I don't hate it. I don't look down on it. I don't even disparage it. I'm an old head. I just take what I can get. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How did you feel about the finale of Superhero? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were there any elements you kind of preferred in one over the other? Let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you later. Till then, bye-bye. But seriously, I'm just ready for the next one. What happens after this?